In this lesson, you will learn how to make your pronouns agree correctly with their antecedents, otherwise known as pronoun antecedent agreement. Here's the idea. Pronouns must agree with their antecedents in terms of person, gender, and number. Agreement in person means that you cannot shift between first and second person pronouns, second and third person pronouns, etc. while writing. Most academic writing is in third person. This is one of the reasons that teachers may tell you you can't use you in an essay. Part of that is because you can't be shifting between writing they or he, she, and writing you. Agreement in gender means that if you're writing about females, you need to use female pronouns. If you're writing about males, you need to use male pronouns. And if you are writing about both or about an unspecified gender, use gender-neutral pronouns. The easiest way to accomplish this is to stick with the third-person pronoun they. Agreement in number means that you use singular pronouns for singular antecedents and plural pronouns for plural antecedents. So it's important to pay attention to whether or not your antecedent is singular or plural. This usually is only difficult when you have indefinite pronouns or when a lot of modifiers come in between the antecedent and the pronoun. When you have antecedents joined by a coordinating conjunction, you have to pay attention to which conjunction is being used. If it's joined by and, you'll always use a plural pronoun. So in the sentence, Maria and Denise played their trumpets together, because I have Maria and Denise, I'm going to use the plural pronoun there. However, when you have a compound antecedent joined by nor or, the pronoun agrees with the noun or pronoun that it is closest to. For example, neither the conductor nor the musicians have taken their places. Nor is the conjunction. So when I'm deciding which pronoun to use, I look at the noun that's closest to the pronoun. In this case, it's musicians. Since musicians is plural, I'm going to take the plural form of the pronoun there. Plural indefinite pronouns are pretty easy. Because these words are always plural, they will always take plural pronouns and verbs for that matter. So example, both of the pianists played their own compositions. Both is a plural pronoun, their is a plural pronoun, so they agree. Just as a reminder, of the pianists is a prep phrase, which means that it is not the subject of the sentence, and that their is not referring to pianists, but rather to both. Always a good idea to be in the habit of isolating the prep phrases so you can focus on the subject of the sentence. A second example, few of us brought our sheet music. Few is the indefinite pronoun. Our refers back to few. Once again, of us is a prep phrase, so that's not what we're making agree with our, it's few. Singular indefinite pronouns are tricky because our ears don't usually hear that they're singular. Therefore, it's important to memorize these words so that we can always be on the lookout for errors. Whenever you write any of these words, another, anybody, anyone, anything, each, either, everybody, everyone, everything, much, neither, nobody, no one, nothing, one another, other, somebody, someone, something. These words are always singular in function, even though it may not seem like they're referring to something singular. So here's an example. Each of the instruments has its own special sound. Each is the singular indefinite pronoun, so I must use the singular pronoun its to correctly agree. As a reminder, of the instruments is the prep phrase. Instruments is not the subject. Instruments is not the antecedent of its. In the second example, everyone brought his or her clarinet. Everyone is the singular indefinite, so I need a singular indefinite pronoun, his or her. It's important to say both his or her in this case because everyone is referring to an unspecified group. We don't want to make assumptions about the gender of those playing clarinet unless the context of the paragraph indicates that everyone in the group is one or the other genders. You need to use his or her. These pronouns, all, any, more, most, none, and some, can be singular or plural depending on the meaning of the indefinite pronoun in the sentence. So here we do usually actually have to look at the prep phrase if there is one. In the sentence, some of the music has lost its appeal, some is the indefinite pronoun, its is the pronoun it's referring to. How do I know to use singular? This is when I need to look at the prep phrase. Some refers to the music. So of the music describes some. They refer to each other. Therefore, some is singular, and I need the singular pronoun its to agree with some. In the next example, however, I have to look at the prep phrase again, but this time it's plural. Some refers to musicians, which makes some plural. There has to go back and agree with the plural some. Collective nouns name a group of people, animals, or things. In this chart are just some of the many examples of collective nouns: army, audience, band, cabinet, class, committee, company, corporation, council, department, faculty, family, firm, group, jury, majority, minority, orchestra, public, school, senate, society, team, and troop. Collective nouns take singular or plural pronouns and verbs depending on the meaning of the word in the sentence. Just like with the indefinite pronouns that can be singular or plural, we have to look at how the noun is functioning. You will always use a singular pronoun when the noun is acting as a unit. In other words, when they're doing something together. I almost envision this as sheep in a herd, and they're all moving in the same direction. They're all moving collectively together. When that's happening, you use the singular pronoun because it's almost like you're referring to the unit as opposed to the individuals in the unit. So here's an example. The orchestra will give its final performance tonight. Orchestra is the collective noun. Its refers to orchestra. We take the singular form because the orchestra is performing together as a unit. It is one group that is really doing this one thing together. However, the same word can also be plural when the parts of the noun act as individuals. So, for example, if we come back to the idea of the sheep, if they all start running away in different directions, the herd is now plural because all of the sheep are going different places. So here's the same word in a different example. The orchestra have tuned their instruments. I take the plural there as well as the plural have because in this case, the members of the orchestra are performing individually. They all have different instruments. They're all tuning their own individual instruments as individuals. Here is your pronoun agreement practice. Choose the form of the pronoun that correctly completes each sentence. This is a good time to pause the video, do the practice on your own, then resume play to hear the answers. Number 1, neither Brandon nor his brothers chose piano as his or their main instrument. So here I have nouns joined by the conjunction neither nor. Remember that when I have neither nor, I look at the noun that is closest to the pronoun. So in this case, I'm going to focus on brothers. Since brothers is plural, I need the plural form of the pronoun there. Number 2, last Saturday night, the jazz band gave its or their first performance. Have an example of a collective noun. Ask yourself, are the members of the band performing together as a unit or are they acting individually? Here the performance would be one performance. They're performing as a unit. Therefore, we need the singular form of the pronoun its. Number 3, few of the creators of the electric guitar knew how his or her or their invention would change popular music. What word is the pronoun referring back to? Here's where we need to isolate all the prep phrases to find the subject of the sentence. Of the creators of the electric guitar, both prep phrases. Draw boxes around them. Few is the antecedent. Few is always plural, therefore, I know I need the plural form of the pronoun. Number 4, each of the inventors contributed his or her or their own ideas to the creation of the electric guitar. Do the same thing here you did in number 3. You need to find the antecedent. To do that, you need to isolate the prep phrase, cover up of the inventors. Each is the antecedent. Each is always singular. Therefore, I need to say his or her. And since I do not know from context whether the inventors were all male or all female, I need to say his or her. Number 5, some of the guitars made by one manufacturer were called frying pans because of its or their shape. Again, I need to find the antecedent. So I need to cover up all the modifiers. Of the guitars made by one manufacturer, while of the guitars is a prep phrase modifying made by one manufacturer is a participial phrase modifying some. Cover both of those up. Some is the antecedent. However, some can be either singular or plural, so I have to look at what it's referring to. Some is referring to guitars, which is plural, which means some is functioning as plural, and I therefore must take the plural pronoun there to agree with the antecedent.